saying that Live Nation itself controls over 265 event venues in North America, which include 60 of the top 100 amphitheater-style locations in the U.S. itself. Now, some estimations have Live Nation and Ticketmaster combined having a nearly 70% market share in ticket sales in the U.S. Live Nation, I will point out, has responded to this suit formally, issuing a statement calling the allegations, quote, absurd, also saying that, quote, the DOJ's complaint attempts to portray Live Nation and Ticketmaster as the cause of fan frustration with the live entertainment industry. It blames concert promoters and ticketing companies, neither of which control ticket prices for those high prices. It ignores everything that is actually responsible for higher ticket prices, from increasing production costs to artist popularity to 24/7 online ticket scalping that reveals the public's willingness to pay far more than primary tickets cost. All of this in aggregate is what's driving a lot of this particular suit. But again, this is a very high-profile one just because of things like the Taylor Swift Eras Tour and just the popularity of concerts. Jose, you and I have already seen stories of just how much the get-in price for that Taylor Swift concert costs here in the U.S., which has led many American concert goers to fly to places like Stockholm and Paris, where ticket prices are significantly less. So there's a lot of anecdotal evidence at play right now. But what Ticketmaster has to do is show that many of those arguments don't hold water. That's where the tough part of this legal case is going to become, Jose.
Yeah, I mean, that Taylor Swift thing was such a disaster on so many levels. But so, Dom, the U.S. government approved the sale of Ticketmaster to Live Nation in 2010. Do you think they're going to be able to successfully break the two up?
This is going to be an interesting point. This is one of those suits that has broader bipartisan support, if you want to call it that, also consumer support as well, especially because of the Taylor Swift issues you just mentioned. What remains to be seen is just how much of a legal basis there is for breaking this company up. So on the one hand, the whole idea of the Sherman Antitrust Act was to make sure that companies did not get so large that they cornered their respective markets and gave consumers no choice but to use their products. There are right now competing ticket sales platforms, no doubt about it. But Ticketmaster is by far the dominant force and the dominant name in the market. But a lot of Live Nation's argument will be about just how much ticket prices, like I point out, are a function of their role and their charges and their service fees in that process. As I mentioned, Live Nation is calling attention to all the other factors that cause spikes in ticket prices that are not in their control, including just supply and demand, Jose.
And, Dom, as we await the Attorney General in just about a minute from now, just real quickly, Live Nation is actually a multilateral, it's a global company, right? It has its offices and its influence throughout the world.
Yes, it does. There's no doubt about it. And a good amount of their business comes from outside the U.S. as well. The reason why this is going to become a curious case is because the administration, the FTC, the DOJ, the folks who regulate this kind of market monopoly type control situation will look at just how incentivized these companies are to act in the way that they do. What's curious about the Ticketmaster Live Nation situation, Jose, is that maybe not surprisingly, remember, Live Nation and Ticketmaster, selling tickets is just one portion of their business. By far, the biggest generator of revenues for Live Nation is actually putting on the concerts at their venues. They drive a lot of revenue because of that. But what's interesting about the Live Nation business model is that that is a low-margin business for them, putting on these concerts. They don't make a lot of money doing it. Where they do make a disproportionate amount of their profits is by this ticket sale process, the service charges they charge for selling tickets. It's one of those things that both sides, the Live Nation Ticketmaster side as well as the Merrick Garland-led DOJ, will have to make a case for about whether or not that is incentivizing some of these people to become maybe bad actors or allegedly abuse their market power to the detriment of consumers.
And, Dom, when we're talking about how big of a market share, what kind of money does Live Nation have?
So it's curious because from a profitability standpoint, over the course of the last year, there have been ups and downs with regard to the business. And because of those rising production costs, as Live Nation points out, the profitability is not far and away huge. But what it does do is call attention to which part of the business is the big driving force behind
Dom,
Live Nation's overall profitability.
Dom, thank you so very much, Attorney General Merrick Garland.
Good morning. Earlier today, the Department of Justice, joined by 29 states and the District of Columbia, sued Live Nation Entertainment and its wholly owned subsidiary, Ticketmaster, for violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. In recent years, Live Nation Ticketmaster's exorbitant fees and technological failures have been criticized by fans and artists alike. But we are not here today because Live Nation Ticketmaster's conduct is inconvenient or frustrating. We are here because, as we allege, that conduct is anti-competitive and illegal. Our complaint makes clear what happens when a monopolist dedicates its resources to entrenching its monopoly power and insulating itself from competition rather than investing in better products and services. We allege that Live Nation has illegally monopolized markets across the live concert industry in the United States for far too long. It is time to break it up. Live Nation Ticketmaster has made itself ubiquitous in the live entertainment industry. It controls at least 80% of primary ticketing at major concert venues. It directly manages more than 400 artists and controls more than 60% of concert promotions across the country. And it owns or controls more than 60% of large amphitheaters in the United States. We allege that to sustain this dominance, Live Nation relies on unlawful, anti-competitive conduct to exercise its monopolistic control over the live events industry in the United States and over the fans, artists, independent promoters, and venues that power the industry. The result is that fans pay more in fees, artists have fewer opportunities to play concerts, smaller promoters get squeezed out, and venues have fewer real choices for ticketing services. As detailed in our complaint, Live Nation Ticketmaster locks out competition in ticketing through the use of long-term, exclusive ticketing contracts with venues that can last over a decade, as well as by acquiring venues themselves. With exclusive agreements that cover more than 70% of concert ticket sales at major concert venues across the country, Ticketmaster can impose a seemingly endless list of fees on fans. Those include ticketing fees, service fees, convenience fees, platinum fees, price master fees, per order fees, handling fees, and payment processing fees, among others. For fans in the United States, this illegal conduct means higher prices. In other countries, where venues are not bound by Ticketmaster's exclusive ticketing contracts, venues often use multiple ticketing companies for the same event, and fans see lower fees and more innovative ticketing products as a result. We also allege that Live Nation Ticketmaster uses these long-term ticketing agreements with venues and its control over those venues to unlawfully pressure artists into agreeing to use its promotion services. In fact, Live Nation often sacrifices profits it could earn as a venue owner by letting its venues sit empty, rather than opening them to artists who do not use Live Nation promotion services, even during peak concert season. Live Nation has not only deployed anti-competitive tactics to coerce artists and venues into using its services and to charge fans excessive fees, it has also worked strategically and illegally to eliminate the threat of potential rivals from emerging across any of its businesses. As detailed in our complaint, Live Nation suffocates its competition using a variety of tactics, from acquisitions of smaller regional promoters and venues, to threats and retaliation, to agreements with rivals designed to neutralize them. This has included acquiring or co-opting key independent promoters, even when the economics of a particular deal did not make sense for Live Nation's promotions business. For example, as recounted in our complaint, Live Nation acquired a controlling stake in AC Entertainment, an independent promoter in Tennessee. Live Nation's chief strategy officer assured executives that even though, quote, The numbers are not super exciting, and this feels like more of a defensive move. The acquisition helped, quote, grow our moat in the Nashville market. When faced with another potential competitor to its promotions business, Live Nation took action to ensure that the competitor would not threaten its dominance in the live music industry. Live Nation initially categorized that competitor, the venue operator, Oak View Group, as one of its, quote, biggest competitor threats. Over time, however, Oak View and Live Nation morphed from competitors into partners. As detailed in our complaint, Live Nation executives repeatedly scolded Oak View for trying to compete. In one instance, in 2016, Live Nation's CEO warned Oak View that competition would only lead to artists demanding more compensation. The Live Nation CEO emailed Oak View writing, quote, let's make sure we don't let them now start playing us off, referring to a prominent artist agency. Oak View backed down. In a similar instance in 2022, Live Nation's CEO scolded Oak View's CEO, quote, who would be so stupid to do this and play into the artist agent's arms, close quote. Oak View again backed down. Quote, we have never promoted without you, won't, said its CEO, and later added, quote, I never want to be competitors, close quote. We also allege that Live Nation has repeatedly wielded its powers to keep its rivals from expanding in the U.S. concert promotions market through threats and retaliation. In 2021, Live Nation threatened to retaliate against private equity firm Silver Lake unless one of the latter's portfolio companies, TEG, stopped competing with Live Nation for artist promotion contracts in the United States. Live Nation's CEO told Silver Lake that he, quote, failed to understand why Silver Lake, quote, continued to invest in a business that competes with Live Nation, close quote. The threats ultimately succeeded, and Silver Lake has tried to sell TEG altogether. We allege that Live Nation does not maintain its dominance in the live entertainment industry by staying ahead of its competition on the merits. It does so by unlawfully eliminating its competition. We allege that Live Nation controls the live entertainment industry in the United States because it is breaking the law. I am grateful to the Justice Department's Antitrust Division for their excellent work on this case. The live entertainment industry is complex and well-sourced. Taking on this case has required persistence and diligence by the antitrust lawyers who are behind me today and by their team. I am proud to work with them. People always remember the first time that they were transformed by live music. I still remember, as a senior in college, going to a Bonnie Raitt concert and seeing a then up-and-coming musician named Bruce Springsteen play as a warm-up act.